The Daily Wire has done it again, delivering another powerful and impactful documentary, and we're going to talk about it. I'm your host, Hyde. This is Hide and Seek Media. Hello, all you beautiful and amazing people. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the show. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. The show is brought to you by the Hide and Seek Media store. If you're like me and you like to start a conversation or just make a statement without having to say too much, then click the link down below and check out all the cool merch we have to offer. And as a bonus, if you use code 1776, I'll give you 20% off your entire order. But without further ado, let's get to the review and reaction to The Greatest Lie Ever Sold by the Daily Wire and Candace Owens. So this documentary is about Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and the riots that ensued after his untimely and unfortunate death. And this documentary is amazing, right? I loved every bit of it from the very minute. The first 5-6 minutes, I couldn't look away. There was footage I'd never seen before, like new body cam footage. There's a lot of things that factored into Mr. Floyd's death outside of Derek Chauvin.
Like you, it's a fake bill from the gentleman. I hope this is the driver in there. Yeah. Which one? That blue one over there. Which one? Yep.
Step out and face away.
Right. But Black Lives Matter took it upon themselves to utilize this as a racial thing and proceeded to get millions, tens of millions of dollars in donations as a result of this man's death. And nobody can account for the money. Candace does a deep dive into their financial records and stuff, and it's curious to say the least. Now, for those of you who are subscribers and come to the channel, you know that when I do a review, I don't like to give away too much of the documentary or the movie or whatever I'm reviewing, because I want you to go watch it, right? I want you to experience all those things that I experienced when I watched it, the emotions and the thoughts and, you know, all of that. I want you to have that full experience. So I'm not going to give too many spoilers away. But I do want you to, you know, be captivated enough from my review and my reaction to go watch it yourself. Now, unfortunately, it's only available at Daily Wire Plus, you know, or dailywire.com to subscribers. I understand why Daily Wire is doing this, because, you know, they're trying to attract more subscribers, and this is a great way to do it. Putting out beautifully made and compelling documentaries like this one and What Is a Woman from Matt Walsh will definitely attract more subscribers. But at some point, you guys have to allow this out for just regular, everyday public to consume. Pay for it, yes, but have it to where they can just buy the documentary for, you know, $12.99 or $9.99, hell, right? And it'd be a, you know, 48-hour rental or whatever. But if you do that, then you're going to get way more people exposed to this stuff. And hopefully that me doing videos like this will expose some people to it. I don't have that many subscribers yet, but hey, you know, I'm working on it. So the beginning of the documentary, once you get past the opening, when Candace really starts to dive into George Floyd, she decides she's going to go interview his roommates and to be honest, I didn't know anything about these people. I had never really seen them, put on the news or the media. They were never really asked to be interviewed. It was always George Floyd's family that was being interviewed and stuff, and never the people he lived with. And apparently he lived with these people for like 3 years. And so I thought, okay, that's a great way to start, because I would love to hear from the people he actually lived with and how they saw him. And it was interesting. And I don't know that they were telling half truths, just holding back some of the bad things that they saw so they didn't paint George in a negative light for this documentary. But I did get the feeling that they were holding something back and maybe blowing a few things out of proportion a little bit to, paint him in a better light. And, as friends, I don't blame them for that, but that's just the feeling I got. Maybe you get a different feeling when you watched it. And if you did, let me know in the comments down below. Man, I love engaging with my viewers, so feel free to fire away.
Hello, Alvin Monego, and I'm George Floyd's previous roommate prior to his death. This is our house, and give you a little walkthrough and tell you a little bit about our relationship.
These is what he did. Like, he got Proverbs marked right here. He used to read this all the time. Let me see, what else did he read? He read Matthews right here. And so he used to be in his room, and our room was next door. And I used to hear him out loud reading his Bible all the time. And I used to be listening to him, and I'm like, wow, he really do be reading that Bible,
But that part, like, outside of me getting that feeling like they were holding something back, it was interesting to hear, them talk about George. So after Candace finished the interview with the roommates, it goes on to show some footage from body cams that I'd never seen before. And then it really dives into George Floyd's detainment and then subsequent death, right? And it was curious to me why he was so agitated and so scared the minute the cops came up to the window of his car. It was like he was instantly terrified the cop was going to shoot him. I don't know. That to me was odd. Like, he had been arrested a couple of times. He'd been in jail a couple of times. So he had had plenty of encounters with law enforcement. And there's even a part where his roommates say that George told them, in conversation that, if he ever came encountered with the police, that they're just out to, take him out, and that he'll comply with every order because he doesn't want to give them any reason to take him out.
He said, I do whatever the police tells me to do. He said, because they looking to kill a big brother like me.
Yeah.
He said that out of his own words. He said, because a big end like me, he said, they looking to kill a big brother like me.
But the body cam footage shows that to be completely different, that he does not comply. And that's the whole point. And that is the whole reason that he ended up in that situation, was because he didn't comply. If he would have just said, okay, and got in the back of that cop car and went to the station, I don't think we would ever really know who George Floyd was.
Move it! I'm not gonna do nothing. Put your hands behind your back then. I'm not gonna do nothing. Stop resisting, man. Stand up.
Please, man. God damn, man.
Stand up.
Why you doing me like this?
Stand up.
God damn,
Come on.
man.
We're trying to get out of the street here so you don't get hit by a car.
That non-compliance, along with a toxic level of fentanyl and methamphetamine in his system,
there was some evidence that came out of chewed up pills that were found on the floor of the police car. It's very unclear to me why that evidence was not obtained earlier and presented to the jury.
Subsequently led to his death while he was in the custody of Minneapolis police, and more importantly, under the knee of Derek Chauvin. So I wondered, seeing George Floyd's reaction on that body cam footage, and then the amount of fentanyl and methamphetamines he had in his system, the fact that you can hear him on the video say he ate too many drugs, or, he ate too much.
Did it appear that Mr. Floyd said, "I ate too many drugs"?
Yes, it did.
Then they find chewed up pills, fentanyl pills, and methamphetamines in the back of the cop car with his DNA on it, showing that it was in his mouth, and then he spit it out in the back of that cop car before they put him on the ground, before he asked to be put on the ground. All of these circumstances, the fact that the drug dealer in the car with him not only did not get any charges for selling him drugs, but did not have to testify in Derek Chauvin's trial because he was afraid of getting more charges put on him because of his answers. All of that, right? The riots that happened afterwards, the millions of dollars that was raised by BLM, the fact that it happened, 6 months before an election, at the time, the most crucial election in this country's history. And as we can see, the results are pretty bad. Here's my thoughts, okay? There's this program that the CIA ran back in the 70s called MK Ultra, where they would work, using LSD and PCP and stuff like this to try and brainwash people to be like Manchurian Candidate type assassins, right? Where, they could just say trigger words and boom, they would off some target. A lot of people and a lot of conspiracy theorists out there believe that this program never went away. It just got moved to a new facilities, named something else, and continued. And with the way social media works today, brainwashing somebody doesn't seem that hard, right? You can see it in these TikTok and, Instagram videos where these people do these certain dances to songs or whatever. And then, you'll see people develop these tics where they're just all of a sudden doing these dances for no reason, because they're bored. And there's no music playing and there's nobody else watching them. They're not on camera. They're just sitting there and all of a sudden, no reason. Doot, 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 doot. That makes me believe that if you focused hard enough on what you showed somebody on their social media, you could convince them to do certain things, right? And to me, it could be utilized to manipulate large groups of people on an emotional level if something like George Floyd happened, right? But CANACE does do a good job of giving you a fair view of who George Floyd was, right? He was a criminal. She goes over his criminal record. That's what makes me wonder about his reactions to the police that day. But then she does also show that in 2019, George Floyd made almost the exact same arguments and complaints when he was being arrested for something, cocaine possession, I believe.
When it comes to second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth chances.
Two things can be true at once. You can both say that George Floyd didn't deserve to die no matter how you believe he died. Nobody deserves to die, in my opinion. And you can also say that objectively, this person that did die was not a saint. This person was not an angel. Okay, so my producer just sent me a link and a minute mark for George Floyd's 2019 arrest, which I haven't seen, so I'm about to watch it for the first time.
Okay, now, Floyd, come on out.
And he said the same thing. I want my mama. I want my mama. Man, please don't do this to me, man. Come on, man. Why you gotta do this to me, man? Sound familiar? It was the same thing in 2020. The same thing. It was like he knew how to do this. He knew how to get the cops to, mishandle, mistreat him by irritating him and resisting, but complaining and begging at the same time, right? But what I loved the fact that you got to see almost the entire arrest through body cam footage in this documentary. She goes through almost the entire arrest from when he goes in the store until Derek Chauvin shows up. So she even has a forensic specialist in this documentary explaining about the fentanyl and how the testimony that was given in Derek Chauvin's trial was reckless. They don't really get to talk to Derek Chauvin or his mom or any of that. So it moves on into the Black Lives Matter portion of it and the riots that they started. She talks to a store owner from LA that his store was ransacked and he got into a beef with Chrissy Teigen and some other bloggers and whatever.
Fraser Ross, and I own retail stores in Los Angeles, California.
During the George Floyd protests that swept the nation, what happened?
We were looted for over $400,000 worth of merchandise.
So her instinct after seeing that your store had been actually looted, her response is, well, no one shops at your store anyway. So she was not sympathetic to the victim in this circumstance.
No.
And they basically extorted him, made him make a donation to Black Lives Matter. But what I thought was really great about the whole BLM part was how she dives right into the finances, and it's like they're buying these $1 million mansions and using these different LLCs to pay, the Patrice, whatever her name is, who runs the BLM, who started BLM, runs the finances, whatever. She was paying like her brother almost $1 million in 1 year for security. This guy had been a graffiti artist his entire life. What did he know about security? Surely not $1 million worth of knowledge, of insecurity to garner that kind of money. I mean, that was insane. I thought, are you serious? And that was just the tip of the iceberg, right? The amount of corruption in BLM is astounding, right? There's an autonomous zone still in Minneapolis. BLM raised almost $80 million in donations, and nobody that was a victim, none of the families of the victims have seen any money from BLM. And one part of the deep dive into the finances was the money that they were pushing to all these transgender activists, so-called charities, right, and organizations. And basically what they were doing was they were just going out and training activists, right, how to go out and get people riled up and start a protest and buck the system and all that, right? That's basically what they were training these people to do. And they were dumping millions of dollars into this all over the country. And at the end, right? Candace goes to the founder of BLM's house, rings the doorbell, says, I like to talk. I have some questions. This is supposed to be a safe place for black people. I'm black. I got some questions. And she wouldn't come out. Said she was being attacked she went on Instagram and said, I'm being attacked. This is they're attacking me in my home and this is unsafe. And it's like, okay, but you guys did that to people all throughout 2020, right? Throughout those riots and those protests, there were people being protested at their homes. And I remember one guy, I think it was in Minneapolis or in Minnesota, they were protesting outside his house, calling him a racist and all that. And he had a shotgun and showed the shotgun in the window. They called the police and had him arrested. He didn't even point it at him. Oh, well, maybe he pointed it, out the window or whatever. But they had him arrested. They were the ones disturbing the peace and protesting at his house, and he was arrested, right? This is the kind of crap that these people were out there doing. And she wants to talk about being attacked because of camera crew, and Candace Owens, who was pregnant, by the way, at the time, showed up to her door to ask a few questions. It's pretty sad, right? When you see the hypocrisy in these people's ideas. And it just goes to make you question everything that they talk about. Because the minute you start asking for a real answer, they start attacking you, calling you names. Oh, how dare you not believe in what we believe in? You're a freaking misogynist, racist, blah, 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 right? Because you don't believe what I believe and you don't believe in fairness and equality. But the fact that all of this money is going out there to all these places and nobody can, like when Candace starts calling some of these charities that Black Lives Matter supposedly donated to, there was no answer. Like 40 something of them that she called, only one picked up. And that one basically told her that, yeah, we'll use those donations to, train our people to go out there and make sure that the message is heard and blah, blah, blah. I was like, holy crap, right? They're training activist soldiers. And that's what they're using George Floyd's death to garner millions of dollars out of the public for it. It was pretty insane. But this was a great documentary. I mean, it was great. It was very compelling. Candace did a great job of putting this together. And I'm so glad I got to watch it. I was like, it was right up there with Matt Walsh. Matt's was a little better. I'm sorry, Candace, but you're right up there. And this just goes to show you what platforms like the Daily Wire and timcast.com and Louder with Crowder, this just goes to show you what kind of content that can be done without mainstream media or corporate media or Hollywood. You don't need to bend the knee to find great content. You just got to know where to look. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, I appreciate you guys watching. It really does mean a lot. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. Smash that like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video and the topic. I love to engage with my viewers, so feel free to fire away. But the most important thing you can do if you really like this video was to hit that share button and share this video on all social media platforms. Those interactions will show YouTube's algorithm that my video needs more impressions, and that's how I'm going to grow. Thank you for everything you guys are doing. I appreciate it, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.